Hey, there's Svetlana. So another set of essays from you. Great work. Let's take a look and see what you did here. Okay, the first one is about jobs. Should people stay in the same job for the rest of their lives, or should they switch jobs at least once? To what extent do you agree or disagree? Let's see. Experts throughout both the developed and developing world have debated whether a change of job is healthy for career growth, or if. You need an if here because it's whether blah 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 or if. So if it is better to stay within the same business till the end of life. No the. And I don't even know if you could say the end of life, but for the rest of someone's career would probably be even more accurate. Some specialists defend the idea that individuals have to do this change. Well, you don't do a change, you make a change. So that individuals have to make a change a minimum of once a lifetime, which I personally strongly agree with. This essay will explain the position using examples from California University and the UK Statistics Department to prove points and demonstrate arguments. Okay, fine. Some little grammatical things happening though, so I want you to be aware of them and I want you to be a little more careful. Firstly, there is ample evidence that change is an essential step for career growth. The central reason behind that is twofold. Firstly, it stimulates development of new skills. Secondly, it enriches professional competence based on company-specific procedures and requirements. Even if the change is associated with stepping out of one's comfort zone, it is likely to have a beneficial effect for the person. That should be taken into account that California University okay, all right, first of all, I have to back up. First of all, you had this thing here where you said it stimulates the development of new skills. Where is your support for this statement? You need to back it up. So how does changing a career stimulate the development of new skills? Don't just assume that it's self-explanatory and that the reader understands what you mean. You still do have to support this, and you have to back it up with some sort of illustration, some sort of explanation, something. Okay? Then, so the next sentence was fine, but then this was awkward. There was a lot of awkwardness here. So even if the change is associated with stepping out of one's comfort zone, it is likely to have a beneficial effect for the person. It should be taken into account that California University has recently proved this fact through a statistics report, no comma here, revealing that 92% of people who have changed their jobs at least once in their lifetime have found several positive implications, such as new experience, professional knowledge, and industry expertise enrichment. Therefore, it is conclusively clear that job change is the job change is beneficial as a part of new skills mastering. Okay, fine. You could see that I came across some problems, some hesitation in reading it. I had some disagreement with the way you developed, but okay, let's move on to your next paragraph. At the same time, although skills and experience growth are an important consequence of a job change, the renewal of business contacts cannot be overstated. What do you mean by renewal? This is largely because joining a new business, an employee is like, okay, there's something missing here. So when joining a new business, an employee is likely to meet a group of unknown people which he will have to interact with. We never use contractions in IELTS Task 2 essays. It must not be forgotten that communication at work is one of the main contributors to people's mental health. This is illustrated by the recent report from the UK Statistics Department that demonstrated that people normally spend at least 25% of their lifetime at work in contact with their colleagues. Therefore, it could be clearly stated that job change is likely to influence a person's environment, not only from a work perspective, the spelling is wrong here, it's PER, but also from a communication point of view, which is undoubtedly beneficial for the individual. Okay, again, I'm a little confused with the way you developed this. So what are you saying here? That it's beneficial for a person to interact with new people. That's what was all very confusing to me. So you said the renewal of business contacts. So what you're saying is that you meet a new group of people, and this is a positive thing, and you assume that it's only positive, and it's one of the reasons why people absolutely what did I just say? They must change jobs. Okay, so Svetlana, I've read this essay now like 2 or 3 times, and I have to be really honest with you that I am a little bit confused, okay? So I don't understand the development of this. Are you saying that the fact that people are meeting new people is positive or it's negative? Just reading the paragraph, I'm not really sure. So let me just go straight to the conclusion. To summarize, from the examples and arguments provided, I can firmly conclude that a job change at least once during the entire career is a positive step from a professional and, I wouldn't say communication, I would say a professional and personal perspective, again spelled wrong, PER. Therefore, if individuals take sensible steps in their profession change, they are not only likely to succeed in a career ladder climb, but also extend their social circle. Okay, so getting to the end of your essay, I finally understand what you're trying to say, but I got to be honest with you, I really struggled with that second paragraph. Let's say you said that you agreed, and that's fine. You did that here, that was clear, but here this entire paragraph was really very confusing to me. Maybe the confusion started with the word of renewal, because renew means that something is old and then you make it new again. It's not like how can I say this? It's not like you make new acquaintances, but you take something old and you just refresh it. So maybe this is where all the confusion happened with this topic sentence. So this goes to show you just how important the first sentence of each paragraph is. It really sets the tone for each subsequent sentence in your paragraph. Because when I read this, I was like, okay, well, what are we actually talking about here? So, but still, the rest of the paragraph really didn't help me in understanding what you were trying to say. Okay, so just to help you understand how you could have potentially changed this, let's see what you could have said instead that would have made it maybe a little more clear. So at the same time, although skills and experience growth are an important consequence of a job change, meeting new business contacts, the importance of meeting new business contacts cannot be overstated. This is largely because joining a new when joining a new business, an employee is likely to meet a new group of unknown people, not only with which he will have to interact, but who he will spend the majority of his days with. This, in turn, increases his social circle because he is forced, essentially, to meet a new social group. Okay? And then you could have added some of this, but you can see that you really needed to explain where you were coming from with this paragraph, because otherwise I was really kind of lost. I didn't know what the point was, whether you were presenting this as a negative, whether you were presenting it as a positive. And when I read your conclusion, then I was like, oh, okay, she means this as a positive, but it didn't sound like this. And remember what the band descriptor, I'll even show it to you, hold on. So look at this. This is what the band descriptor for task 2 says. At 7, presents a clear position throughout the response. So yeah, you said it in the beginning, but at some point I got lost, because you know what a lot of people do is they reverse the order of their paragraphs. So it was all very, very confusing to me. It's very common for people to write their first paragraph with the one side of the argument, and then the second paragraph with the opposite side of the argument. So basically my point is that I really didn't know where you were going with this until I got to the conclusion, okay? And then it really confirmed it for me. But This paragraph is really confusing. Okay, we've really spent far too much time with your task 2, so let's go straight into your task 1. It is the crop production in France in 2017. For some reason, your image does not show up here. I thank you for trying to include it. Let me see what I can remember from memory, okay? So, the image you know what? If you add these as a Word file and you just attach the image to your Word file, then it definitely shows up. I think if you just kind of try to glue it to the email body, it doesn't work. Okay, anyway, the image depicts a pie chart of crop production in France in 2017. The data we usually say is, honestly, but we say data are too, so that's fine. I'm not going to correct it. The data are provided in percentage for corn, cotton, rice, barley, wheat, and sugar. That was really smart. I'm glad that you included it in your introduction. This is a really good habit to get into. Include all of the categories either in your introduction or in your overview. This way, if you run out of time or your development doesn't allow you to mention all the categories, at least you have mentioned them in name once, and that's very important, so I'm glad you did that here. Okay, let's move on. Overall, the maximum amount of France crop business. Well, that's a little bizarre. It's not a really natural expression. So let's say instead, overall, the greatest proportion of crop production in France was posted for cotton, whilst the lowest was for corn. It is also interesting to note that the level of sugar, wheat, and barley production was almost equal for all these categories within 2017. Full stop. Get rid of this word. According to the graph, the highest proportion of the pie chart belonged to cotton, with almost a third of the total of the 2017 crop business. In contrast to that, corn had the lowest level of production, which was close to 2% only. That amount was followed by the second lowest of 3.5 for rice. At the same time, wheat, sugar, and barley accounted for roughly don't forget the article, even amount of the total French crop manufacturing, which equals to 1/5 of the pie chart each. You don't need to say add category. Okay, this is really short. I am like 89% certain that this doesn't even reach the word minimum of 150 words. This feels terribly short. You needed to make comparisons, okay? You needed to extend it further. You needed to go into more detail about the rest of them. You talked about the first one, you talked about the lowest one, you talked about the second lowest one, and then the rest of them you just kind of lumped them into one sentence and then you were done. So you really needed to do much more with the rest of those categories that remained. Okay, Svetlana, you should be getting a sample of what a good answer would be. Take a look at that, see how the answer is extended. Sometimes some of these pie charts where there is just very little information are even more challenging than the ones that have tons and tons of information. So see how you could have developed this a little further, okay? That's about it for this video correction today. Correct these, return them back to us. Don't forget to add to your error correction list and write us another set of essays. Okay, we're looking forward to it. So good luck with that.